So do you guys know you have that one friend that's always with a bunch of men and she just never can sit down? You know, she might seem like she's confident, but really she's really depressed and putting her dependence on a man. Yeah, that was me at some point. So yeah, we're here. So welcome to Always Khadijah, where I'm always Khadijah and you're always you. So today we're going to be talking about decentering relationships. In recent years, a lot of people have made a lot of videos on it. And stop looking at a lot of videos and stick to 1 to 2 videos, because when you look at a lot of videos, you start to get confused and you don't have time for that. So just stick to 1 or 2 and leave it at that and learn your lesson, whatever. So I will put timestamps because some people do not like to look at all my content or the whole video, which I mean is fine. I mean, I guess, what do I be talking about? I guess whatever. But if you want to look to if you want to go to a specific part and like learn about certain things, you can do that. So you don't have to, I guess, see me for like 20 minutes. So story time. I have centered around this idea of being in a relationship ever since I came out the womb, it seems like. And I grew up fast in so many ways. Like my first ever crush was when I was in 2nd grade. I saw this guy and I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. And since then, it started to grow more and more into more of like doing things like, flirting or, getting these dating apps. And definitely from the ages of 14 to me, I'm 20 years old now. So maybe 19... ish, when I like really centered my life around men. Like I would wear all these seductive clothing, or I would downplay myself, or I would actually make myself sound good so a guy would like me. And at the time it seemed okay, but as I got older and more like mature and like really understanding concepts in life, that was really traumatizing for me, and it made me really insecure. I was insecure for a long time, but I think that insecurity and that desperation and not feeling good about yourself kind of stems from that. So that's kind of a little bit about my story, and about kind of like, it's not like a long story because I could go in depth, and I can do that in another video, but that's a little bit of like why I'm making this video, because I've been through it and I know how you feel. So now I want to tell you why you possibly may center yourself around relationships, men, even if you're not like into men or whatever, why you center yourself around people in relationships. A lot of the main reason is because we seek validation, and there is an insecurity and some type of negative emotion inside of us. Because if you're a secure person and you know who you truly are, you would not allow anybody to mess you up. And when I mean anybody, you wouldn't let anybody mess you up. So it's always something within that we're going through. And in my situation, I grew up with a lot of little things going on, like with myself, and I grew up pretty hypersexual and all that stuff. So that kind of played a big role into it later in life. But there's always something that happened for you to think that. And also too, society, and this is more for the women, society has put men as a, center of our universe. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a man's world, like it's a song, and, the patriarchs from, millennium and centuries have been catered towards men. So societally, in our brain anyways, kind of goes to that. So it's part of it not your fault, because society kind of makes it into that, a way a woman should be. You see in music videos, these women are sexualized or look a certain way, but that is because that is more of a man's fantasy than an actual woman's fantasy. Now, some women, I'm not going to sit here and lie, and say that all women, have no control, but a lot of it is, I guess, geared towards the male gaze, as another topic a lot of people talk about. You know how you have a, if you've done intake and dating, there might be a couple guys that may come back in your life and they're like, hey, like I haven't talked to you in a while, or, they kind of like slide themselves in. Now, basically what they're doing typically is they're going through the list of people to see who they can manipulate and not manipulate. And you're not the special person. Like I used to think, oh my gosh, he came back to me because no, he came back because he was just trying to see if you would give him a booty call or whatever. Or, take him back, whatever the case may be. So why decenter relationships? Why decenter men? Why does it matter? Because people always want to say, let's do this, but no one talks about why to do it. Like, is it really worth it? And let me tell you, there's no easy way. You can look at these videos all day, but this is something you have to do for yourself and really be ready to change. It's not something you can just be like, oh, well, I'll look at this video and have a little bit of positive hope and ideas. But in reality, I'm not going to do shit, because that's what we'll do. That's why I recommend looking at 1 to 2 videos so you don't get into that loop. People want to do it is because they want to feel empowered with themselves. They want to feel secure. Because for me, messing with a lot of men or talking to a lot of people and not having boundaries, men will run you over. Men are more smarter than we think. Men know how to manipulate women. So they'll make themselves seem like they're a certain way, but actually they're this way. You need to take time to yourself. And what I mean to yourself is take time to really, really, really get to know yourself. Like, do not entertain anyone. Because if you start entertaining people, your mindset starts to get clouded and your boundaries kind of become one of those, oh, well, if you're not in the mindset to really date intentionally, then really there's no point of, trying to date knowing that your mindset just isn't where it needs to be. So I would recommend taking some time to yourself. And I think the way to start is journaling. One thing I do is I write down things. I write down everything in my app, like something I think about, something I do, because at night, then I reflect on those thoughts and then you kind of learn more about yourself. I'm going to give you 3 quick tips. And once again, you may have heard these tips, or it's no easy way out. So think about this. It's no easy way out, honey. Now you can change the way you think about it, but there's no magic book that's going to be like, here, it takes time and you may mess up, and that's just life. It's not the end of the world, I promise you. So let's get into it, honey. So the first thing I want you to do is write down your shortcomings. Now I'm going to put something somewhere on the screen and explain. So this is from a book I talked about in a previous video, where it really talks about your anxiety, your worries, and your fears and how to heal it through a scientific way. And I recommend that book because it was really helpful. The trigger is when you're triggered, because usually when a behavior happens, when something is triggered, when you're triggered. So the trigger is basically when a certain emotion or when you center yourself around men or a relationship, think about, are you bored in that moment? Do you feel lonely? Do you feel desperate? Do you feel like you just need somebody? Because we are social creatures and, we do need people in our lives. But when you feel this trigger and this emotion, what do you feel? How do you feel? And then what gets you to that behavior? What gets you to perking up your breast? What behavior do you do when you get triggered when it comes to those things? And then what's your reward? Do you feel better for a short period of time and then you feel like shit? After you had sex with that person, how do you feel? After you went on that date, how do you feel? After you centered yourself and paid attention to them instead of your friends, how do you feel? Does that reward really, because that behavior, it feels good in that little moment, but that reward, what you get from it, that's what's important. And then start journaling, because when you become mindful of it, you start to naturally notice what you do. Because the thing to healing is taking accountability. You got to take accountability for what you do. People will sit up here and say, oh, well, to heal, first you got to take accountability for what you do, because sometimes it is a part of your fault. And sometimes you just have to learn, because sometimes you don't even know what the hell you're doing. That's another thing. So let's be accountable. Guided meditations. So yeah, I think guided meditations are a great way. And I think mindfulness really almost solves anything, because once again, I will not stop saying it. Being accountable and knowing what you're doing is probably the first step to do anything. So I would say do some guided meditations, and I recommend doing 5 to 10 minutes just to start out, because I barely can do 5 minutes. So that's what I do, 5 minutes, and listen, do something with your heart chakra, or, if you believe in chakras, or if you're more religious, like do something with like a prayer, something, because it helps you keep your mind grounded, and it helps you to be able to make better decisions a little bit later. Meditation really helps with clearing your mind. And I would just recommend doing it. You don't even have to do it every day. If you only can do it a few times a week, something, one time a week is better than no times a week. Even though it may sound bad, you may not get the results that you want, but doing it one time, it helps you center yourself. Another thing is stop seeking validation. It's easier said than done, but truly the way you decenter stuff is you do things on your own terms. So if you don't want to wear that dress, don't wear it. If you want to wear black eyeliner, wear it. If you want to wear this outfit, wear it. Do not do it because, oh, he may not like it, because at that point you start centering yourself around those people. If you do decide to date, really have boundaries and don't center yourself around it. Like, limit yourself. Maybe go on dates maybe twice a week, I don't know. Or maybe the dating apps, maybe don't download them, have them on, something to help you limit if you're not, because it's a big change. And that's another thing that I'm about to talk about. It is a really big change to decenter yourself around relationships, because it's a work in progress for me. Like, I have my days where I do really well, and then I have my days where I fuck up, but that is a part of life. And if you want to go all in, let me tell you the good sides and the downsides. Let me tell you the downsides and then the good side, so it can end on a positive note, I guess. So the downside of decentering men, and it's hard because it can get lonely and it can get boring sometimes, because you see other people, having these relationships, and you remember, because I think our mind is so addicted to the chaos and so addicted to, having something going on, that as soon as like it stops, your brain kind of scrambles and wanders around, because it's like, it's not used to this. It's not used to that. So I really think the first step you really can do is you may just have to really understand that sitting in that solitude can be challenging, because your brain doesn't like to sit with itself, because you have some thoughts out there that's scary, or you just don't feel comfortable in your thoughts. So the first thing that I would say is it can get lonely. It can get lonely. The second thing is temptation is a bitch. You gonna get tempted like a motherfucker sometimes. Sometimes you can see something or have a thought. You know how you're, I don't know, maybe on a weight loss journey or something, and you sit there and you're like, oh my gosh, like I really want that piece of cake. I really want that. And it's hard because you're trying to change yourself for the better, but your mind doesn't like change, especially in society today. Like, no, wait, I don't know what that meant. Your brain doesn't like change. Your brain likes to say, your ego likes to stay the same. So of course you're going to be fighting demons, and it can get very tempting. But I want to let you know that messing up is normal. Do not do it to the point where you get comfortable, but every now and then we're human and we have emotions. And if this is especially something you dealt with for years, don't expect yourself to be perfect every time. Because there's times where, I'll be honest. Oh, okay. Sorry, I read a message and I'm like, oh. I'll be honest, there's times where I downloaded them dating apps again, or the guy that I was supposed to, I blocked, I unblocked. You know, there are times I fucked up myself. And I felt so bad after. But the thing is, it's important to get back into that because it's a journey. That's why it's called a journey. You know, I'm not saying it's easy. And especially me being only 20 years old, like I should be going out here hooking up and doing whatever from the culture. And the thing is, I did that in my teen years, but also too, that culture is so toxic. Like I'm going to counseling at this moment just because of that, trying to hook up with people culture. It really can mess you up traumatically. And also you don't focus on what you want to do. I've been wanting to create content for years, but me focusing on men has kept me from doing that. Well, it was my fault, but I'm saying like me focusing and centering myself around relationships keeps you from really doing the things you want to do. You know, I'm not saying being in a relationship, you can't do both, but I'm saying if you don't focus on yourself, you're going to attract any damn body. Now, the positive side, because I wanted to end on a good note, because I was like, damn, if I end on a bad note, then it's like, ooh, damn. But some good juju, I guess, is the first thing I want to say is you become more magnetic. And what I mean by that is men secretly love powerful women. Because you see men, you know, you might see your one of the friend early that I was saying I was kind of like. Now you might have saw that friend and she has all these guys and you're like, what, you know, wondering. But in reality, those guys are using her. They don't really want her because she's easy to get. But as for a powerful woman, they respect them more, even if they may not come up to you, because people read energy. So they may not come up to you, they may not say anything, or they really may say a lot of things. Like they may open the door, they may pay for your drinks, they may do some real shit, you know, either or. But you have to stand on business. And what I mean by this, and this may be a little more of a downside and a good side, is that you lose a lot of people. What I mean by this, a lot of people you will not be, you guys won't be as compatible, because especially my age group, like everyone is having this fucking, but for other, you know, and no matter what age group, everyone's fucking. So or doing some, you know, relationship stuff that's not very great. So I like to say this because people are attracted to energy. So that energy, people get attracted to you. But you shouldn't do that just because of that reason. You should do it because you really want some, oh, I put my hand in my titty. You really want some respect for yourself, and you really want to do the things you've always wanted to do. A second thing is you have more self-love and respect for yourself, and you decentering men from your life. Literally, you have a life, because I feel like when you center men around life, you don't have a life but being around men. Like there's nothing else you do. But when you center yourself, you start to really, a lot of possibilities and experiences open for you, and you feel good, you feel better, and you can really cut anyone off. You could be like, oh, you're not serving me, cut, because that block button will be your best friend. I promise you, and I'm telling you, will be your best friend. So, yes. And thirdly, you get to, this may be Brad. I don't know what this really is, but I just felt like saying it. The third thing is you are a strong ass person. Because the thing is, if you are centering yourself in relationships or not, either coin is hard. Because when you center people in relationships, you feel disgusted about yourself. You're always trying to be great for the next person. You're centering yourself to seek validation. But on this side, you are a lot less compatible with a lot of people. There's a lot of people you cut off. It can get lonely. It can get really upsetting. You may not engage in things as your own age. Well, okay, I like to disagree with that, because I still do a lot of things my age. You know, I don't think decentering relationships means, because there's a difference between decentering your relationships and having avoidance attachment, and that's another video I'll talk about. But people like to mistake decentering and avoiding, because there's a, you know, I get avoiding men, it sounds great, but you're actually avoiding yourself from actually a possibly good relationship. So it's a gray area. It's a lot. It's very complex. So I can't really talk about too much because it'd make the video long as hell, but also it really can be confusing. Ooh. So all in all, I want to tell you it's a journey, not easy. That's kind of all I have to say about that. It takes time, and be patient with yourself. But if you really want to change, you will. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope you guys love it. And if you do, please subscribe, turn that notification bell, and like, so more people can see. But also, you get to see me. Like, who doesn't want to see me? JK, I'm really not. I'm really humble as fuck. Like, if you meet me in person, I'm really humble. Like, I don't do that. Like, you know, but thank you so much. And I post typically Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm trying to. But yes, thank you guys. See you later.